So query snapshots are an object. There's basically two major objects that we're going to get back from Cloud Firestore, right? When we just said .collection post, we got a reference to that place in the database, but we didn't get anything from the database. Those previous ones we saw before was posts and then an ID of a given document. That was a reference to that place in the database, but it wasn't necessarily the data. When we request the data with a get, or try to put data with an update or a set, or even delete it with a delete, right? Well, delete, you're not going to get back data, but if we request data, we're going to get back a snapshot. Either, if it's for a collection of things, we'll get back a query snapshot. And if we request one document, we will get back a document snapshot, right? Which is just an object that represents our data. And query snapshots have they have a few properties and a few methods. And I just want to talk about them a little bit before we start playing with them so we kind of have a sense. We can see the forest for the trees before we get too deep into the code. Query snapshots have a property called docs. That is an array of document snapshots, right? That makes sense. It has a property called empty. That is true if the query was empty, and it is false if it's not. Seems so far so good. Metadata is just, where it came from, so on and so forth. A query is if you need to get back to the actual query that you fired to go ahead and refine it or do something else along those lines. It's a reference back to that query object. And the size is the number of documents in the query snapshot. So those are properties. There's also some methods. The methods are doc changes. This will actually give you back, it'll fire an event, basically an added and give you a document, removed, updated, right? For each, we'll go ahead and let you iterate through. Then equal is equal, let you take another query snapshot and see if they're equal. Because we know that JavaScript, you can take two objects that look pretty much the same, two arrays, but they're not equal. This will go ahead and actually compare them to see if they are theoretically the same documents. Doc changes, you can also, we'll see later, we saw the docs, we could have all the documents, or the kind of changes, like the diffs of each one of them, added, removed. So you can do either one. We're going to be using docs and just kind of replacing them, but you could see a world where if you're using something like Redux, right, and you're firing events of document added, stuff along those lines, you could theoretically use those and fire the actions, right? And if you were implementing something like undo or something along those lines, having the individual things that changed might be more useful to you than just the latest state of the world. For our purposes, we're going to take the latest state of the world today, okay, here are all the new documents, update the state of our application. And that is, generally speaking, for a lot of applications what you're going to want. But you can imagine something, again, if you wanted to have previous revision history, client side, you can keep all of those, so on and so forth, right? Those are all options as well.